It's even better than we thought, as we have the perfect Canucks prospect update with one fan favorite player giving flowers to a prospect that this fan base is absolutely pumped about, as well as some nice words for first year head coach Manny Halhotra as Abbotsford continues their playoff push for a Calder Cup. We're going to break down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first, if you're enjoying this content and you want to join the 7,300 subscribers that we currently have, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you can stay up to date on everything to do with the Canucks. And with that, let's hop straight into it, which is PDG Speaks On Abbotsford. So first off, we're going to jump into what he had to say about prospect Victor Mancini on an interview that he did with Canucks Conversation with David Quadrelli, saying that he's got a really great physical frame, was really impressed me with him. For a large guy, he moves around very well. You guys have probably seen he's good at escaping, and you don't see too many big guys doing that. His maneuverability impresses me. He's still got all the tools to be a great NHL defenseman, and I'm not just saying that because he's a fellow Paisan. I think he's got a bright future. And obviously, Victor Mancini is somebody that this Canucks organization and fans are super pumped about what he is going to be able to bring to this Vancouver Canucks roster. We did acquire him in the trade from New York with JT Miller, bringing him over, and then he spent a lot more time in Abbotsford than he has spent with the main roster, particularly in the postseason. He got 16 games with Vancouver this season, however, getting 1 goal and 2 assists for 3 points, getting 8 penalty minutes in the process. In the regular season and with Abbotsford, in those 7 games, still getting 3 points, which for a defenseman is really solid. But then you look at what he's been able to do in the playoffs this season with Abbotsford as well. In 12 games, getting 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 total points, only taking 4 penalty minutes as well. That is also a big thing. So he has been a contributor, and he has been somebody that every fan has been watching closely to see what he's going to be able to do when we see him in a Vancouver Canucks uniform next season as a full-time roster member. He got a decent amount of games this past season with Vancouver to kind of ease him into the system, but now it seems like he is penciled in to be our number 3 defenseman on the right side, paired alongside DPD, another Abbotsford prospect who has made his way into this Vancouver Canucks permanent roster with the emergence of Elias Pettersson, and how fantastic he has been at that left D spot and can alternate from the left and the right side. So with Victor Mancini, it brings a lot of opportunity here where he is absolutely shining with the time he's gotten in Abbotsford, and he's gaining the respect of a lot of players, a veteran like PDG, who fans in Vancouver love as well. When he was playing for us in Vancouver last season, there was a lot of fans that were really happy for him, especially after he scored, after having the birth of his child, which was a really cool moment for him. And he's just been one player that when he speaks, a lot of players and a lot of fans seem to really like what he has to say, or just follow what he has to say, because he's been around for quite some time within this Vancouver system. So he knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two. So he knows what a good player when he sees one, and Victor Mancini has absolutely been doing that. But it doesn't stop there for PDG speaking on the Abbotsford system as well. Speaking on head coach Manny Halhotra with his first year, saying he's a very good communicator, very disciplined, and very straightforward. I like him as a coach. He's very honest, and it's easy for us to follow. Decades ago, it was very militant, and I find today being a good communicator often translates to having success with today's players. So obviously, this is something where we've seen, like we've been saying over and over, that Manny Halhotra has done a phenomenal job in Abbotsford this season, getting them to the position they're in the Western Conference Finals right now against the Texas Stars, only a few games away from playing for the Calder Cup, as well as not only just getting the team there into the playoffs in general when they haven't had a lot of playoff success in the past in their short history, but just taking them as far as he's been able to take them in a first season, which is insane. But also with, like we've been saying, the amount of players that he has been able to get NHL ready that have found their way onto a permanent roster spot, or have definitely earned twice the amount of opportunities next season in games, hopefully not due to injuries, but just because of natural call-ups. But these guys have been able to fill in for those spots so well. Linus Karlsson has made a huge step up in his game from when we saw him in the postseason 2 seasons ago to what we saw in the regular season last season from his time in Abbotsford, his time with Manny. Arshdeep Bains has also been benefiting from that as well. Atu Ratu has been a big beneficiary of that. Jonathan Lekkerimaki. There's been a lot of guys, Artur Shilovs as well. So there's been a lot of guys on this Abbotsford team that Manny has done a great job at developing, getting their confidence back, refining some of their things that needed some work, and making sure that they are NHL ready when their number gets called by Patrik Allvin and Jim Rutherford when they need to fill them in for a regular season game or a stretch of games or in the playoffs in a big moment. And this playoff run that Abbotsford is on right now is going to do wonders for these guys that are going to be playing hopefully in the playoffs next season for Vancouver, and Victor Mancini being one of them. So having PDG come out and saying that this guy is a big guy that can move really well is something that Vancouver needs so bad. Ever since Nikita Zadorov left, who was only here for a season, we have been needing a big body defenseman like that to fill in that void. Elias Pettersson, he lays a hit when he needs to. He gets his hand dirty when he needs to because he is just a young buck with a massive chip on his shoulder. If Victor Mancini has that same chip while also being a big body, those two on a line together will be a great young gun duo to have out there as your third pairing, where it won't be a total liability and you'll have some speed and finesse as well as some power and size. And that's what Vancouver needs to balance out this depth chart on defense. You see there where you have Marcus Pettersson with Filip Hronek. That'll obviously alternate with Quinn Hughes if Filip Hronek is still there, with him being apparently on the trade block. So that's something to watch out for. Tyler Myers getting up there in age, but he's also a really tall chaos giraffe. We know what he can bring as far as size. So having a guy like Victor Mancini, I'd love to see it just because of what he can bring as far as just having another big body there. We got Dakota Joshua and Kiefer Sherwood in the forward group. Now we'll have Tyler Myers and Victor Mancini, or potentially somebody else in free agency or via a trade. There could be another big body defenseman coming to Vancouver to try and just have a brick wall of defense so that we aren't leaving our goalie hang out to dry, like Tyler Myers was saying for a few performances, whether it came to Kevin Lankton, Artur Shilovs, where they were struggling in some games and he took the blame and said, hey, no, that's on us. They shouldn't be in those positions where they're letting in those goals. So that's something that we have to refine, and having Victor Mancini for that is a big step forward. We'll see what this playoff push means for his development heading into next season, but I feel really good about it. Is even though his points haven't been crazy, his contributions have been just insane. So this is somebody that we have to watch heading into next season, because with the season where we don't have too much to maybe be excited about, Victor Mancini is absolutely one of them, especially going into a contract year where he's going to be wanting to play a lot of prove-it style hockey, and we are going to see some flashy play out of number 90 next season in Vancouver. But let us know what you guys have to say about all of this concerning Victor Mancini, what PDG was saying, what Manny Halhotra has been able to do, and what this praise means as far as the future for Manny Halhotra in Abbotsford. Because as far as Abbotsford's success, PDG was also speaking on that, saying that the steadiness and composure of the collective group, whether we're down a goal or up by one, when we're in tight games, I'm impressed by just about everybody. The pressure isn't getting to anybody, and everyone seems to be very comfortable no matter what situation we are facing. And a lot of that obviously is due to the leadership of Manny Halhotra being at the helm, just being level-headed, making sure this team doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, and as well as these veteran players like Phil DiGiuseppe here saying that, hey, we just got to keep our cool, we just got to get in these games, we got to stay focused and just lock down these teams, and we are seeing them do that, especially in series-clinching games where we've had 3 shutouts in those series-clinching games, which have been massive for the Abbotsford Canucks this postseason, obviously, because that is exactly why they are in the position they are in. And in these series clinching games, they're lighting up the scoreboard. They're making sure that guys are not letting their foot off the gas and that they are not settling for just a 2-goal victory. They want to just run up that scoreboard as much as they can. So this is a very exciting postseason, not in the way that Vancouver fans might have been expecting, but at least we have something to cheer about with this Abbotsford Canucks team and something to watch heading forward, as well as with the NHL playoffs going on. This is still something more to watch, and at least something for us to cheer about, because we're not cheering for the Oilers, we're not cheering for the Panthers, we're not cheering for any of those guys. So why not just shift our focus on cheering for the Abbotsford Canucks and seeing if they can bring home a Calder trophy for the first time in their short franchise history, and especially with Manny Halhotra as the first-year head coach. If he wins the Calder, it's going to go a long way towards making a case of him being the Vancouver Canucks head coach. If not next season, definitely the season after that, depending on the contract that Adam Foote will be under, or if Vancouver just wants to use him as a bridge coach until Manny Halhotra and these pieces are ready to just take over and keep Quinn Hughes happy, hopefully, if he's still around by then. But let us know what you guys have to say about all this, and do you think that Abbotsford will win the Calder? That is going to be a very interesting series. Gonna love to see what they have to do. Hopefully that they don't put up, as the Texas Stars don't put up more of a fight than the Dallas Stars put up against the Edmonton Oilers. Hopefully it's just an easier path to the Calder Cup final from there for Abbotsford. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss the updates when they drop. We'll be back at it tomorrow with another video. But with that, I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.